All right. Well, welcome everyone. I think I know most people in the room, but my name is Tafira Rushton. And I'm happy to bring us to our last business series class, digital media, digital marketing and social media. Um, we have been thinking about this topic for a minute and glad to have Danielle from Keep Growing Detroit here to talk about this. She does social media for Keep Growing Detroit, and I will pass the mic to you, Danielle.
Thanks. Good evening, y'all. I think this is the last class of the year, right?
You're right.
So here we go.
Welcome.
Yay. And I think this is my first class time teaching a class uh, through Zoom. So that's kind of
Really?
cool.
Oh wow. We
Yeah.
got we got to get you in the mix more often, Danielle.
So I'm really really appreciative that you guys are tuning in tonight. Like T was saying, my name is Danielle Daggio. I am the development and engagement coordinator at Keep Growing Detroit. So I wear many hats. And one main one is like the ways in which we engage the community and how can more people learn and especially like celebrate all of that. I think that's sort of the mood that I'm in. Like, how do we celebrate the accomplishments that we have? And so, um, I am gonna go through a couple of things for the work that we do and how do we promote and get more people involved in the work that we're doing. So I am gonna share my screen. Here we go. Can we see this? Yes. Okay. Make this big. All right, we're gonna go. All right, so we're gonna market our business. How do we market that, right? Like, I think a lot of times, like when we have a business, when you have, nonprofit, for profit, whatever it is, um, we tend to like focus on the product, focus on the service, and that's really amazing. But then how are you going to get more people to your service? How are you going to get more people to your products if you don't tell them about it? Sometimes it's really just like you just need to start by telling people about it, right? And so I am going to talk about do some comparisons in the three different media places that where I kind of work on a lot of the media. So Keep Growing Detroit, Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund, and then I launched my own side business, Baon, this year. And so I'm in it with y'all, like doing some stuff and trying to see like what I can do in this work. And so um, in this it's three very different organizations, right? Keep Growing Detroit has been long established for several decades, so like that comes with a lot of clout, right? Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund is a collaboration of three different organizations: Oakland Ave, DBCFSN, and Keep Growing Detroit. So each one of those have their own like reputation in the community, but then us coming together through the land fund is one other step too. And then Baon is something that I just started with two other friends. It's a Filipino food business. And like three of us have our own things too, but this is really like a brand new product, a brand new company, brand new organization, new service, right? So I'm gonna be able to kind of walk each of you through these and talk a little bit about how are we gonna do how do we do all these. And so I wanted to sort of start out with a little bit of a survey and do some quick polls on how are people utilizing um, different platforms and in your work and for personally and what's your experience in doing this. So let me launch this first poll, and it's about what social media do you use? Oh, T, can you try to launch the poll? It says your polling session is inactive. because I'm logged in from another device.
Oh, it's on. You just can't see it because you're the host.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool,
because I
cool,
can see it
cool.
on mine. I see people chiming in. So
Nice.
maybe I can tell you the results. Just tell me when you think we should end it. Maybe give them a couple seconds.
Yeah, give it a couple seconds. Could you read the question now that it's disappeared from my view?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sure can. It says, what social media platforms do you use already? Personal business website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I am new to this. Yep, I love this. All right, looks like most people have chimed in, so I'm gonna go ahead and end.
Okay.
And it says 29% are using a personal or business website. 86% are using Facebook. That's pretty big.
Wow, okay.
57% are using Instagram, so about half the folks in the room. Only 14% are using Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter either.
Me either. Me
But
neither.
it's the whole universe that I'm just not a part of. LinkedIn, 29%. And I'm new to this. 2 out of 7 people, 29%.
Two
All
out of
right.
seven. Nice, nice. Okay, T, there's another question. So if you could launch the
Okay.
second question.
Okay, let me try to do that. Let's see. Personal versus business question launch. All right. It says, I use social media for. All right, we've launched this poll. If you could let Danielle know, I use social media for myself, for my job, for my personal business. What is social media?
I'll just try to span the whole range, you
Yeah,
know.
who's in the room? Who is in the room?
All 11 of us. It's getting real personal.
All right, I'm gonna end the poll, Danielle. It
I
says,
didn't
sorry,
I
you
didn't get a
can't see
copy
it.
of it.
Oh,
I
You didn't
can't
get,
see it.
you didn't see it? Oh
Nope.
no, I don't know if I can let me see if I
catch
can
the next one. There's
okay,
one
catch
more,
it.
Chet.
Catch this one. If I share the results, can you see that, Danielle?
I only see my presentation.
Oh yeah, because your presentation is up. Okay, it says 71% is just using it for themselves, 29% for their job, 71% are for their personal business. Whoop whoop. And 14% say, what is social media?
Can you
I
say
know.
that number again? How many people are using it for their business?
71%. So
71%. It's like that's almost all of you.
yep.
Okay, one last question.
All right. Let's go to that one. This is social media experience. It says, my experience with social media. Uh, are you a viewer? You've never posted? Oops, let me launch this thing so you can see it. Sorry. My experience with social media. Viewer, never posted. I'm chill, posting whenever I feel like it. Casual, I post about once a month. Or pro moves. I'm posting 3 to 4 times a week. All right, the results are coming in. I'm kind of like my personal, I'm very casual. And then unfortunately my business is whenever I feel like it. And I really gotta get on it. Like I need to make a whole calendar for my business. Account. It kind of gets the last on the list.
That's a pro tip, T. Make a calendar. I'm gonna talk about it.
All right. Chet, did you see that one? Did you see that poll? Because I'm gonna close it in a second.
I didn't get the question at all. Go ahead, close it. I didn't see it at all.
Oh wow, okay.
No.
Mm-mm.
Maybe if you're on your phone, maybe it's kind of tricky, but I'll go ahead and end it.
I got the first one, but I didn't get the last two.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's weird.
so
Sorry, Chet.
That's
all
okay.
right. So Danielle, your the experience in the room, my experience with social media, a viewer, never posted, that's 14%. Chill, I'm just chill, posting whenever I feel like it, that's 43%. 0 people said they were casual about it. That's interesting. And then you have 43% making pro moves, posting 3 to 4
Ooh,
times a week.
okay.
All right.
This is exciting. This is exciting. So based on where we're at, a majority of you all are on Facebook, some Instagram, and then a vast majority of you are utilizing it for your business, which is amazing. And then and the last question, you're kind of pro and chill. This sort of, so this is good. This is really, really good. I think that we kind of put together a lot of really good stuff for all of you to check out. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to do that, so I can kind of talk a little bit about it in a different sort of way. So let's jump into it, right? So one of the biggest things about doing your social media is what do you want to say? Who do you want to be out in this like wide mass of internet overload of information? What do you want for your business, for yourself? Like, what do you want it to look like? What do you want people to see? You know, you've got to zoom out a little bit and just say like, what are your values? What are your goals? Who do you want as your audience or your customers? Who do you want them to be? And then what do you want it to look like, right? Like this is some of my favorite parts because if you're, a lot of you are already on Facebook and Instagram, out there on the web every day. So like you'll run across things that you like and you don't like. As you're doing that, take note of like what is it that you do like and what is it that you don't like. Start saving the pieces of pictures, quotes, videos, music, like the things that you like, the different pages that you follow that you really appreciate, like put them all in a vision board. Like I just did this really quick thing of like, oh, okay, I kind of like how these pictures look. I like this color scheme. I like the way that these interactions are. Like that's what I kind of would like to see for my vision of what I want to put out there in the world. Right? Like put things like different quotes or whatever it is how you want to put it out there. Because like in the same way you are with your business, right? Like you don't want to do things that are wasting your time. You're like, I need to make money and this is how I'm going to make the money doing it, right? And so like don't put out things that you don't care about. Like don't put out things that you think other people might want. Like at the end of the day, a lot of this is for your business. It's a representation of you as well. So like take a lot of time before you even set up a page, before you even set up any of the things. I mean, you already have your pages, right? Like, but that's okay. Maybe you're already tailoring this, but like take the time to do that. And some of that is kind of fun because I'm actually asking you to like doom scroll, right? Like scroll with a purpose is sort of like where we want you to go. And so there are people who are like, the beauty of this is that there's already people who are already doing this. There's already people who are already doing it well. Where do you jive with like what they're doing? Take that all in and then put it all out there. So, trying to understand who do you want as your customers? Who do you want to have what is your voice? What does that look like? That can be different than what people see you as a person and then what your business is. Like that's a completely different, that could be separate. And knowing that, I think, is something that I'm going to get into too. Because as a big thing is like you as a person, you're the first marketing piece of your business, right? Like when people meet you, are you talking about, before you even set up a social thing, like how do you talk to another person about what your business is? How does that then look like when you're trying to reach people that you don't know? Or how do you gain more people who you want to be a part of your business too? Feel free to like drop any questions as we go along the way, and then T can shout them out if that happens, but feel free to stop me. So hope that's clear. Just take the time doing your vision. What do you want it to look like is a big deal, because then it means a lot for where you're going to be able to, where you want to market and where you want to put your energies, right? So off the top, a website is a lot, it's like your landing, right? Um, it's your landing page for all the things that you're gonna do. It's again, like, that's why you have to take the time to like look at do your vision board, so you can look at like what is it that you want to do to be able to make your website happen, make it look like it could happen, all of this stuff. There's a bit of a learning curve in doing this, but I will say that a lot of the websites nowadays are super intuitive, or there's a lot of people you might run into that could kind of help you along the way. I will say that, like, right, like in a lot of this, oftentimes I'm like, just find somebody who's like 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. They're already doing this. They like learn this in class at the same time they're learning multiplication. Okay. So like so maybe give them a project. If you're feeling some like, you're like, Danielle, you hit me up with a website. Danielle, you told me all these things. Like, my secret tip is like, ask somebody who's already doing this, and then maybe they can be able to help you out or give some purpose to like what they're doing for this work. And so websites are a big deal. They're also twofold. Sometimes people don't necessarily need to know, like, don't know this, but like, one, you pay for the service of like hosting it on a particular website. Two, you also pay for your domain name. So like keepgrowingdetroit.org, tefirarushton.com, all of that stuff, you pay for that as well. So all of this information is from tooltester.com, and we're going to send out a PDF of this so that you can get all the links. There's a lot of links in this presentation. So tooltester.com is a really great source for like, how do you do things on your website? What's the best and why? And so like, I really liked this table that they did because it broke it down piece by piece. What is the pricing? What does it get you? Because there's all kinds of tiers between like you see right here on Squarespace, personal, business, online store advanced. All of that is like different tiers of how much you are going to be paying each month. So you can pay by month or by year. Also the same with your domain hosting. And so I like to take the time to hit this situation that says try for free, because that's a really great way to see how easy and computer friendly it is for you, and also what are the different templates that are there. So that's some of the really great things about each one of these. They have definitely different flavors of like what's going on from experience. So like my personal website and I think Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund are all on a Wix website. I think pricing is some of the best. The ease is there, and if you have some wherewithal, you can be able to like make anything possible on Wix. It's a lot easier to be able to like plug and play on Wix in a great way. So that's like one way to be able to go in there. Squarespace is what we use for Keep Growing Detroit. Honestly, I think the difference in like why we chose some of this is the templates that were available. Squarespace is like slick. It's easy, and it makes things like look super professional, like right away. It's clean, and I think the for us at Keep Growing Detroit, because we are already connected to Squarespace for our online store, that's what the connection was there to be able to use Squarespace versus other ones. GoDaddy is another one too. I've only mostly used GoDaddy as like a host, like a domain hosting. I haven't used it as like a website, but again, like same situation. Take the time to like look through the templates, see how it feels, try it out for free, and then figure out where it goes from there. But then again, like go to tooltester.com. I literally pulled this information like last week, so all of this changes all the time. That's another thing that I like want to say is that this is constantly moving and changing in all of this stuff that I'm going to be discussing today. And so like I can show you this is what pricing is like today, but it could change like in a couple months. So
Yeah.
be aware of that.
I was gonna say because I did this is great because I took so much time to figure out for Detroit Mobile Kayak which website to use, and I ended up going with GoDaddy. So because it was free, but that was my first time trying the website on GoDaddy, and at the time Wix had eliminated their free option. This was like probably like last year, so maybe it's back according to this, but yeah, it had a limit. So I went with the GoDaddy free one because free was a factor in my business.
Free is a great factor.
Free is a great factor. And then for Black to the Land, we use Wix. So yeah, this is great.
Yeah, and like again, take the time to do that because like when you start to see like when you're building the website, it takes an extraordinary amount of time, even if your website is very simple. And so like it can be done. Like once you get your domain name, like keepgrowingdetroit.org, that's going to stay with you no matter what platform that you're on. But like it takes a lot of time. Like let's say if I wanted to, like if you decide to go from GoDaddy to Wix or Squarespace, you already know how long it took you to do the one website. You're gonna have to tell, as a business person, you're like, if I really wanted to change this, I know that I need to invest X amount of time if I need to switch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not,
that was like it was like took a long time for me to just narrow down which one. So yeah.
yeah. And I spent a lot of time just looking at the templates, just looking at the pricing and trying to work that out into like my business plan too, because this is an expense that you have to account for every single year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I would highly recommend like going for paying on an annual basis, unless there's a specific need to go monthly, because then if you've set it, then you don't have to worry about it throughout the year. And sometimes you might get a slight discount if you go for the annual versus monthly. So that's something to think about. Okay, so now next. Okay, so website comparisons. Keep Growing Detroit and Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund. I have not, and I mean, speaking of time and all of that, I have not done that for my own personal business yet. I have done it for like Danielle, like there's a DanielleDaggio.com, but I haven't done it yet for Bond. And so keepgrowingdetroit.org. Let me see if I like click this, what will happen. So keepgrowingdetroit.org, right? Like I spent all of January, February, March, almost 3 months doing this website. This is a complete revamp from what it was previous. And so we had a lot of intention on what it is that we want, how do we want to utilize like for the user experience, and what is the taking stock of the content and how to switch it over. So the previous site was WordPress. So we switched from WordPress to Squarespace. A lot of that again was related to the template. And then we thought a lot about when somebody comes to Keep Growing Detroit, what do you want them to do? What is the first sense of action that you would like them to do? What is the first thing that they're going to see? And so we thought about like, okay, here are like the 3 main routes in which people really want to get to Keep Growing Detroit. The Garden Resource Program, they want to go to classes, and they are interested in buying from us through the store. We all know, I mean, right, there's a lot of people who are in build crew here. There's a lot of people in a lot of different things in the, beekeeping and all that other stuff. Like we do a lot. But like, we know that these are probably the 3 entry points in which most people are finding out about who we are as Keep Growing Detroit. And then like a lot of our upcoming events are something that we talk a lot about, but like we didn't put a full calendar here. And then here's like a way to be able to loop back into other pieces of the website that most people might not see right away. And so like that's like a nice little advertisement about who we are, ways to subscribe, and then all of our contact information and our social media. So like this is probably a lot more than I think most people would have on their like website, just because we do so much with our work. And so but like this is like the entry points. And so another point of intention was we thought about the graphics and who would do these illustrations, and who are putting together like these videos for us and the photos for us. So like that again is like another expense and that we invested in, because we already saw that we had a need for having photography, video, and graphics for multiple applications. And so like investing in those pieces was something that we knew that could happen along the way, and used in different places and spaces. So that could be something that you might want to think about as well. So then let's go to Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund. Again, like, so Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund started Juneteenth, 2020. So here's like a completely different vibe, right? Like again, it both starts with like a video, both of them. But it's different because right away we know that for the fund, people are still wanting to learn about who we are in general. So it was really important for us to say, like, here's a really quick, like 1 minute video for someone to watch about who we are and what we're about. People know the 3 organizations that this is connected to. Also, I would say that the name of the organization is crystal clear to the point where people know exactly what it's for. So in doing your marketing, be clear about the name of your business as well. And yeah, who we are. And also what we know about the Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund is that it's twofold. It's people who are applying for funds and people who want to donate for funds. So all of that is up here really clearly. And so this, I think, being able to do a website takes a heck of a lot more time and a lot more, and you should spend a lot of time if you want to do a website, because like at the end of the day, if you'll get Googled, right? Like it's easy to Google something before you're on like Instagram or Facebook to look for something else, right? So like all of that is connected to search engine optimization, meaning like if I put in something in Google, if I type in Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund, are we the first thing that comes up? That's all related to search engine optimization. And all of that is related to where you fall in the rankings of Google in relationship to like the keywords that are in your website. That's kind of a lot. There's also like
I was
a
about to
lot.
say you said a whole lot there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let's make sure if there's any questions, feel free to
any
come
questions?
off of mute. But so
Yeah,
basically you're saying think about your business name and your website domain so that you can be optimized in the search engine, right? Is that what you're saying? Kind of like,
yes,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's
So that it's
exactly what I'm saying.
easily identifiable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we spent a lot of time on that analysis as well, to understand like what are people typing into Google to be able to find us. And so like and then finding what that is and utilizing those words and incorporating them into our website.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't necessarily do that with Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund because it wasn't in existence yet. It wasn't in existence yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we did that with Keep Growing Detroit because all of that data had already existed, because it existed before. And just taking the time to like analyze all of that. It takes a lot to be able to do a website. And yeah, I wouldn't recommend it unless you want to like really dedicate time, because you might have an amazing $1 million idea, but if your website is not like in a good spot and it's looking kind of jacked up and you sort of threw it together, don't publish it, just keep working on it. As
Mhm.
opposed to like things on social media, you can kind of put out if a post doesn't work out that too not great, you can either take it down, or like there's always opportunity to do a new post. When you do a website, it's so much work to be able to set it all up. To take it all the way down and rebuild again is really hard. So
Mhm. And some people say like just start with a landing page. I don't
yeah,
know. What do you think? Like if you're just starting
yeah.
out and you don't want to be overwhelmed, at least get a landing page where you have, um, you know,
If you have a landing page that just goes to like links back to your like, let's say that's a great idea, T. Like, let's say for like my business, I have a social media presence. I'm just mostly really using social media, right? So then if I just created a landing page so that people loop back, at least there's a way for people to, it's like it's legitimizing your business when you have a website.
right.
Like I will tell you, like, right, like I only have an Instagram for my business. And I'm also sort of like, I'm like, okay, like how's this gonna go? But I'm at a point where I'm like, I need to take time to carve out time to build a website. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'm also only like 7 months into my business. So like there's I wasn't gonna jump into doing a whole website unless I needed to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
right, like there's a lot of social media platforms that I could be using, that each of us could be using, right? Like, so I I believe that it's really important to have both a website and a social media presence. I think they go sort of hand in hand. Consider your website as like the landing spot. Things can kind of change if it needs be. Whereas on a social media presence, like that's a continual relationship that needs to be fostered often, I think, or at least a consistent basis. Like you could spend like my personal website I made, and then like I haven't updated in like a few years at this point. Whereas my social media presence, I put out there probably once a week, maybe more in the stories, but like so that's sort of the difference there. And this is uh a really great graphic that shows where consumers follow brands in the white, and then where like what platforms that the consumers use. So I also like, so take a look at like where this is at. Like people use YouTube a heck of a lot, but they're following brands more on Facebook or Instagram than YouTube. So like there's some interesting stuff here to be able to figure out. You also need to understand again like where your audience is at. That's a big part of this too, and like and what your industry is as well. This where I got this graphics, Sprout Social, they took some time to analyze different types of industries as well, and trying to see like where different industries are spending time on social media too. So I really encourage you to check out Sprout Social too, so that you can see like, okay, I'm in X, Y, and Z industry, and so I want to spend more time on this particular platform over another. So like don't get caught up in one. I would say like, set one up. Um Also, don't set up something that you don't know how to use, right? Like if this is going to stick with you more if you actually use those platforms and have an intention to like want to use that platform. I am not going to sit here and set up a Twitch and I don't know what that is. I would say actually also say the same for Twitter. Like I was on Twitter before and I am not like now because I don't know, it didn't click with me. And so I'm not going to use it. But if you are moving in a sense where it's like, I don't use any of this, and you know that your particular business or the particular industry that you're in uses one over the other, then like figure out how to learn how to do it. I feel like you should at least have one in addition to like a website. But again, like figure out what works right for you, what works right for your audience, and like where's your customer base? Like see where that's at.
And Diane said, I jumped on Twitter and had no idea what to do. I think I'd be like that too. I'm like, I don't know. I can't keep up.
It's a little overwhelming on Twitter. It's a lot of, it's like fast paced, rapid fire messages and pictures. And yeah, it's just a different thing. It's a completely different thing. And yeah, I think I also got overwhelmed there too, and I just got off.
Yeah. But I think also one cool thing that's like, I think that like the last maybe year has really been cool is that you can really, if you're posting on Instagram, you can post on Facebook, you can post on TikTok, you can kind of post the same content throughout all of them, basically, if you have multiple platforms.
Yeah. So like for Keep Growing Detroit and Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund, we have both Facebook and Instagram and our own websites. And so like I will 100% tell you that I make things on Instagram and it then choose the option for it to automatically post on Facebook and not in reverse. But I'm also learning like sometimes it's important to have different content, but in different formats for Facebook or Instagram. I wonder if I put, yes. Okay, Facebook comparisons. Great. So what you're seeing here is through like Keep Growing Detroit, web's Facebook page. Like we have a whole bunch of like a ton of different followers on the Keep Growing Detroit side, and then on the Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund side. Like it looks sort of similar, it looks sort of different, but like we also know that like Keep Growing Detroit has been way longer established, so it has more followers. There's a lot more people on the Facebook and more activity on the Facebook page, because I think that we were there first before any of the other spots. And I also have an awareness, I'm going to get into this, of like who is our audience and like where are they actually using it, and that's related to the analytics that are there. All of this is like trying to understand, one, what is my vision, what is it that I want to put out in the world, and then like playing this game of like what are the algorithms, what are these like things that the people who are over Facebook and Instagram, how are they doing this, and they're controlling what it is that what you're putting out there, who sees it and who doesn't. And a lot of that is related to, again, like those keywords that you're using in your posts and in your messaging. So like they listen to all of that. There's so much data that's coming through all these like different Facebook pages and stuff.
So they're listening even when you don't like hashtag it.
Yes.
You think, okay.
Like they're always listening, and it's sort of scary. Like one of the things, like one popular thing that happens on like Facebook and Instagram during this time of year is like the Spotify Wrapped. Like, what are all of the, who's the top artist that you've been listening to? Who's the top, these are the different modes. Literally all of that is analytics that you've been feeding them. That's how they make that.
So, yeah, that's just odd.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd. You know what I noticed too is that like I used to post a lot more, and then when I stopped posting as much, I feel like now my posts don't get as much like traction or like attention. And it's like there's an algorithm to like how much you post versus how many people are gonna see your post. You know,
you are absolutely right. That is not that's not a notion, that's a real thing. It's like if you're being real casual about your stuff, like not really like just looking, like that's kind of where I'm at on Facebook. Like I hardly ever post on my personal Facebook. I'm mostly posting on my Instagram. So like when I do post something on my Facebook, it's like, I don't know, a handful of engagement there. Like some people like it, not a lot. But then if I post on my Instagram, because I'm posting more often there,
Mhm.
it gets more traction, like way more traction, because I'm frequently on there, but I'm not frequently on Facebook. So like when you're doing this as your business, it's like you have to allocate time to do it. It's not like I was mentioning before, like your website can just drop and that can be there and it has all the information, people can access that. If you're not posting on a sort of frequency for Facebook or Instagram, it's gonna do exactly what T just said. Like it's not really gonna
I
like
noticed it. Like I was
yeah.
kind of hurt. So what is that ideal frequency to in your in your experience for both Facebook and Instagram, for example?
Sure. I think for me, and yeah, here's like Instagram, just so that we can look at it.
Okay.
Instagram, Instagram and Facebook, I would solidly say, um, at least, at the very least, try to post at least like once a once a week. Where I think you're really getting more traction is if you post at least 3 times a week. And I think it's a really great thing if you make sure that it cross posts to both Facebook and Instagram or wherever at the same time, then it's like you're not doing double work. It's already doing it for you.
Yeah.
Um, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So like here's a really great example is I've been working a lot on making reels on Instagram, and you have a choice that says recommend on Facebook, but it doesn't automatically post on the feed in the same way. I have to go back into Facebook to post it. So as in comparison, if I post just a regular picture on Instagram, Facebook, it will post it with the caption and everything, and it's easy to go, ready to rock. But if I post a reel, it will show up really cleanly on Instagram, but on Facebook, it looks sort of funky.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Mhm. I hope they fix
So
that.
I
Are they
know they need
listening
to.
now? Fix
Hey,
that.
excuse me, Meta, please fix that. Um, but I will say that like if there are time sensitive things like events or a special that you're doing or a specific campaign, I think it's all right to post once a day. So, as an example here for Keep Growing Detroit, oh, look at this, the class that's happening today, you know? But what you are also seeing then is like the frequency in which like how many times did we post about the annual celebration in just this like small, this is your top 9 things that happen on Instagram, right? We post
Mhm.
about the annual celebration, but then there's like 3 posts about our fundraising campaign that are happening, 2 about classes, because these things right here are very time sensitive. Like we like this class right now, like we wanted to get people in the door at a specific time. This specific campaign, it's happening, it has a small window, and like the window is gonna close soon. As opposed to right down here, this is like a GRP shout out where we were like, let's highlight different GRP members and the great things that they're doing. I those are called evergreens, meaning that you can post that when you've got a lull in the things that you need to post. It's always good to have evergreens as like a thing that you can fall back on so that you can stay more active in the feed. Detroit Black Farmer Land Fund. This is, at least for right now, like not as frequent because like Juneteenth is our big thing. When we do our awardees, like when our application comes out, like those are really hard hitting specific events and that have a particular window, like we're posting almost every single day. But right now, since there isn't as much, and I also think that it's okay because it's not, we have a really clear service for Detroit Black Farmland Land Fund. And so like the bandwidth as opposed to Keep Growing Detroit has so many different services that we have to promote. We have to keep it straight in a different way. And then like my business, Bao, and like I am a monthly food subscription business. So like what's happening in this is like leading up to when people are ordering a box, like I kind of post like once in a while, but like once it hits the deadline for when you put in an order, I post like almost every other day. And so like the frequency of which I'm doing Baon is like there's like a 3-week window for me to be able to promote. So like I launched promotion for it, and then I kind of wait a couple of days, then I send out a post. Then I wait a couple of days, send out another post. Once it's like the week of before the deadline's gonna close, I'm posting every single day. So then there's a week where there's nothing happening because it's like 4 weeks in a month. So like in those like weeks that's nothing happening, right? Like so this is a filler, like this is an evergreen. This picture right here with me down here is not like I wasn't pushing anything. It was just something to like put out there so that it could be active, you know? So like that's being on it is like you gotta kind of dedicate yourself to be able to do that.
Mm. Yeah, knowing that frequency is nice. It's good to know. Thinking through that. What I'm thinking, you're saying 1 to 3 times a week is ideal.
1 to 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Try for that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're going from like, all right, I'm just kind of chill with it. Like getting to a frequency of posting at least once a week is, and this is what I'm going to get to, is like when you're doing content, when you're producing the content, you have to want to do it, right? You gotta want to do it. If you don't want to do it, it's gonna show. It's like I can tell when I'm like, all right, I kind of just put that out there. The engagement's not really there, and then the return on investment isn't there. Like people aren't signing up for classes, people aren't coming to the store, people aren't buying like, our boxes for Bao, like you gotta want to do it, and it shows. And I'm also not saying that you have to be, your face doesn't have to be in every single thing. Like you don't have to do it like that, but right, like I wrote here, like you do it or delegate it. No, if you know somebody who like is really interested in like wanting to promote your stuff, you figure it out, like, oh, this person is really good at taking pictures, this person's good at doing video, this person's a really great wordsmith, like maybe I should pass my phone to them,
I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thought for like what's a good contractual rate to pay someone for just to be doing social media for your business?
Social media for your business, I think that depends on what you're asking from that person. How often are you asking them to do, and and what level of content that you're asking them to do. Like social media, like these influencers, right? These influencers are making upwards of 50K a year. Right. That's like even on the lower end.
That's crazy.
And like that's all they're doing is creating these like wild videos or like these cool pictures or these reels. It's a straight up full-time job to be able to be a content creator. So if you want somebody to kind of just do this on the side, like it depends on the frequency on like what your budget is and what you're expecting from them. I've seen anywhere from like you could like I could do this as a side hustle if I like really wanted to. Right. Like doing like 10 to 20K a year just doing content creation for people.
10 to 20K is a okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know. So like so that's why I'm like, you should learn how to do it.
Right, save some
Or
money.
if I guess somebody do it. And also like one of the biggest things is like capture stuff while you're already doing it, right? Like you cannot put the toothpaste back into the tube, okay? Right? Like you can't take the so like find someone or find some way to be like, okay, I'm gonna start making or I'm gonna start like making this recipe. How do I set up the camera? I mean, it's gonna take you longer to set the recipe, but if you have a specific intention that you're gonna create something in order so that you can have more content, then set it aside. So like as an example, so like I in my food business, like we set up in our like month schedule, there's a night when we as creators get together to make the food that's in the dish so that I then can utilize that content to put into my Instagram. So, Chet, did you have a question? You came off mute. No, maybe. Okay, cool. And so you gotta want to do it, capture what you're doing, you do it or delegate it, and then make sure that the light is on the subject and not behind. So like here's an example, like if you're looking at me like right here, I have a light that's on me right now, but if I like turn it off, I only have a light that's behind me. So like you can see the difference in which like it's, I mean, I also have my computer on, but like so the lighting there is completely different. If it's not about having more light, it's about having the right light. And I think oftentimes like if you're outside, and I think a lot of the stuff that it's better to have natural light if possible, but like right, like we live in a place where there's not so many sunny days. Like making sure when you do have light, like if you're inside in a room, like making sure that the subject that you have, it's on you and not behind it. There's shadow there. I on this side over here, there are some really awesome resources that I found. This is Virginia Farmers Market Association. They had a whole tutorial on how to do short videos. So I encourage you to check this out over here. Unsplash is a place where you can get gorgeous, gorgeous photos for free, but I think it's important that you make sure to credit who takes the photo. That's also in there as well. Graphic design for non-designers webinar. That's also from like a farmers market coalition. So like I encourage you to check that out. Photos, here's some really great tips about doing photography, taking great photos on your phone. I will tell you, and T knows that like we spent a lot of time this year getting equipment that's for like video and photography. And at the end of the day, I'm just using my phone. So like invest in a phone that will take good pictures, even if it's just like the only phone that you use. Like I've done a lot with like not a lot of money. And so like just making sure it's all about like taking the time and trying it out, right? So I have a couple of slides here. This is from Farmers Market Coalition, and this is like speaking to us in a really specific way. How to do beautiful photos for busy market operators, right? Like we're not really people that always are doing this, and so here are some tips that I got from them that I think I want to make sure to share with you all. So one is the hashtags, right? Like we were talking about hashtag. I don't know if we talked about hashtags, but like when you talk about Twitter, hashtags is like kind of a big deal related to it. It's a way that people can find you, find your market, location, and like vendor tags. It's a so like when it's a way for people to search you in an easy way. So when you're putting out your content in the comments and the caption, making sure to utilize those makes a major difference. This is where on Instagram, so like oftentimes I look at Instagram a lot. And so if you're scrolling through and you're like, oh my gosh, I really like that picture, there's this little thing right here it's like a bookmark, and then it saves all of the things that you're saving. and then you can go in there and look at them later. So like this is a way for you to start building a vision board. They all go into, to be able to go back to them, you go into your account and then there's something that says saved so that you can go back and look. Okay. And as this shows here on this side, you can categorize the things that you save. So like here's a whole category of photos on products, another category all about vendors, to kind of keep your scrolling in an organized way. Okay. And also as you're going on, like I have, like I was saying before, like for my business too, like it's like really just all about like a monthly situation. I repost things that people already spent an amazing time doing onto my page. But like I think it's really, really important to make sure that you credit in people in the repost. And the way that that works is I download this app called Repost, and it like walks you through it. You just like copy the link from that, and then you tell it to repost, follow the things, and then it does it. And it's reposted. That's all it is. But in it automatically will give connection, like it will attribute who it's going to and where it originally came from. And I like this. It's like, if you think you should ask permission, please do, right? Like always, like you should always kind of ask to see if it's okay. And giving, I think this is probably the biggest thing, is always give credit to the originator of that content, because you can't go around like saying like, okay, we were actually, T and I was going through this and I found a picture that I took on this thing. So like, it's not a big deal. It's this picture right here. I took this picture, and like, it's just hot peppers. It would be a different story if that was like my child and hot peppers, you know? So like, that's where there's difference there. So royalty-free stock images, here's Unsplash. There's also Pexels and Pixabay. So I would like, just like what this says is like, these are super stylized, like pictures from professional photographers. And most of the time they are free, but again, like making sure that you give, you can attribute it to the person who took the picture is really great too. But I will also say that you can start to see on a page if it's really the organization, the person, if you use a lot of these pictures. Like, yes, this is free content and whatever, but like original content, even if it looks great, like on a lot of times, like a grainy photo of something that's real and authentic is better than this gorgeous photo. So like, again, really knowing and hearing your voice of like what needs to be there, what shouldn't be there is really, really important. This I thought was a really great tip. So like, if you already see somebody who is taking great pictures, taking great video, ask them if they can take pictures and send them to you and say, hey, I will give you credit. This is a really wonderful way to do some collaboration with someone who's already doing some work for you. So talk to them about it and just like approach them and say, hey, like, I see that you're taking pictures. I would love, like, yes, take a picture of me, but can I get some of those pictures? And oftentimes, like, they might say, yeah, you know? Okay, cool. What is next? Oh, or pay a photographer, right? Like investing in paying for that will give you pictures that you can use over and over and over again, right? Like we've had opportunities where this was a really great thing is, let's say somebody is doing a story on you and they send a photographer out. Talk to that photographer, like, and maybe they paid extra for like that photographer. Talk to that photographer and see if you can use those photos. And if they're like, oh, can you pay me for that or whatever, ask them how much it is, you know, because you already did a photo shoot with them. You've already set yourself up to get it. And so like, you know, otherwise those photos are just like sitting. And like that photographer has a business too. And so maybe they've got a price, maybe they don't, but like build it into like your business to get that. This is also another really good thing is planning your posts, trying to see and understand how to organize. Remember how we were talking about like a frequency? So we plan to build in that time. If I was very smart and strategic with my time, I would use something like Planopoly or Hootsuite, or there's just like a ton of different things where you can plan it out. And so that, let's say I only have an hour and a half or 2 hours to do this work. I can sit there and schedule each of my posts all at once so that the rest of the week I don't have to think about it. I will also tell you though that it ends up in varying results. Sometimes like there are certain platforms that where it says like optimize the time for when it should go out, and they're doing all the work to figure out the algorithms, but that doesn't mean that it's like a silver bullet, right? Like it's all still goes down to like the content and what you're putting out there. So
Okay, that brings up a question for me, and maybe you're talking about it. If you're talking about
sure.
it later, just say I'm talking about that later. But question on like, is there a particular time of day that you try to post, or how do you figure out like the best time of day for your audience, I guess?
Yeah. I think the standard for me is always kind of weekdays around like 10 a.m. And the highest traction of time is like Tuesdays and Thursdays around 10 a.m. So you can dial that in. I'll also show you like in the analytics, it'll kind of populate that too. And then other websites I think are also a great place to be able to tell you when's a great time to see when your audience is visiting your page. So like on our Squarespace page for the store, the online store, I know that it spit it out at me. It like told me the highest time in which someone is placing an order is Fridays at 11 a.m. Our store opens as early as like 9 a.m. to be able to order. So like if I know that most people are putting in an order by Friday morning at 11 a.m., I better be promoting it right before that, and which I have been. So like there's a correlation there. So
Okay.
yeah, and like the analytics will also show you on the back end of Instagram and Facebook when most people are viewing your page. So
Okay,
like,
because see, that might be another reason. See, my post went down because I'm just posting at 2 a.m. when I feel like.
yeah, nobody, just you and people who are, yeah, I mean, just look at what are other people going on. You might be
Maybe
hitting
that's.
people like in other time zones, T, or
Oh, okay.
other night owls is what you're doing. Okay, I'm gonna breeze through this. So these are some really gorgeous photos that they put in this thing, but there is a really great, okay, starting here. So here's some really great tips on how to take like sweet photos. So understand it as like, I need to tell a story with this photo, right? So like think about that, like as you're going and taking pictures. Don't think about like, oh, okay, I think that's kind of neat, but like think about it as I'm a customer. How do they want to see it? What is the best way to see it? Okay, use interesting angles, taking them from different parts of the day. If at the end of the day, take more photos than you're actually going to need, because maybe somewhere in there you might find something good. And also using different angles too. Far away, close up, zoom it in, zoom it out. Beginning of the day, end of the day. All of that is also telling a story too. Show off the place, right? Show off the outside, show off your surroundings on where you are. Like, just think about like, okay, this person has only viewed me from Instagram. Let me transport them to where we are. Like, make it so that they're there too, Okay. Market scenes, take a picture at be a market paparazzi. Keep your eyes open, seeing what's see like what is catching your eye might also catch somebody else's eye too. and like take that picture, stand behind different perspectives, different angles. Like, it's kind of funny sometimes you like see people, they're like going like this and like this and like this and taking a picture, but like those are sick photos, and all I did was like crouch down and look up, like that's kind of what they're doing. And then at the end of the day, you can use those photos. See, like casual moments too. I often think that I use like something like, right, like if I'm looking at this picture on the left, there are different pieces that are interesting in it, like the flowers, this woman's hand, but like there's nothing like super remarkable happening. It's just like, oh, here's someone picking up some apples. Those little quiet moments like that are also really important too in doing this work. It's not just all about like, here's my gorgeous product, here's like me in a smile, like, take pictures of people like this stuff on the right, like people coming to pick up your product, people coming to stop by. So there's that too. Capturing the harvest, right? Like what you don't see, this picture is like kind of sort of frustrating, is like what's really sexy stuff is like watching people harvest the food, right? Like that's why some of like a lot of the reels that I post on like the Fridays for the store are just like us out on the farm harvesting the food. Like that's where people are like, wow, that's where my food came from, it looks so cool. So like, even if you make a product, take a picture of the process getting to the product, different angles. See, right, like on this right hand side, like you see this is the same subject matter, all these different cauliflower, but because they took the pictures from different angles, it's a lot more interesting, and then they have a lot more content to play with. And then different people, like who are your different customers, who are the people in your audience, making sure that they're interested in it. And I will say that, so like this is a really key part. Like say, oh, hey, I really like your sunglasses, I'm Danielle, can I take a pic? Like I work with Keep Growing Detroit, is it cool if I take your picture and use it in a reel in the future? Like, so that's really clear about where I'm using it, what I'm doing it for. I've identified who I am, why I want to take their picture, and then share with them where they can find it later. So that's also a really good business move, because like, it's like, oh, just look us up on Keep Growing Detroit. Go ahead, just like it. And they're like following you already, So like, that's a really easy way to like generate more people, and like more followers too. And always say thank you. And I think especially it's really important when the photo involves kids. Like I wouldn't like it if like someone just randomly is taking pictures of my kid and then now it shows up in somebody's like Instagram feed. Like I don't think that's cool. But like if you ask them and like be clear on what it's for, then they're probably more likely to be able to do it, to be into it. And yeah, so like again, like your energy into this project is gonna come through. Again, if you don't want to do it, then it's not gonna come out. If you do want to do it and you're excited about it, then it's definitely gonna come through. So that was like a lot. That was some big stuff there. So different types of content, right? Like there's all these different things. You could take photos, you could take video, you could just do text, you can do stories and live video. So I found this, oh cool, this is from Sprout Social too. This came from the VA Farmers Market Association. And here's all this like data, right? So it takes more, there's like a 53% split of like video versus images. So like get good with like different kinds of content, so that you can be able to, you put that on your page. Like there's the more avenues that you have available for people to find you, the easier it's going to be for people to be able to see your content. And see, check this out, 93% of companies have acquired new customers via social media, right? Like you're always going to have like these diehards, like people who know you and heard about you through word of mouth. But like to get somebody new that you've never met before, you're most likely going to find them through social media, or like they'll find you through social media through using hashtags or whatever that is that they find on you. And so I thought this is also interesting, is that 58% of viewers will watch the entire video if it's less than 60 seconds long. It's probably even higher if it's like 10 seconds long, because then it'll like repeat too. So like that, if the attention span is less than 60 seconds, that means that your content needs to be super dynamic right out the gate. And so like if that's where you're at, you have to see that for the content that you're making, whether it be video, images, stories, live video. Okay, cool. I'm gonna keep going.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
saw this and I was like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Because yeah, like you can spend a lot of time, and sometimes it depends, right? Like if I'm making a produced video, a 1 minute video will take me 1 hour to capture if it's done right. But sometimes some things are like happen, and that's why sometimes you got to catch stuff in the moment when it's happening, and then it's like, oh wait, this is gold, I need to get this right now. Get it while you can, and then use it later.
Yeah. It's kind of like you just always got to have that eye when you're doing, if you're at the farm or you're doing your business, you always got to be thinking like, let me just capture some pictures, even if you use them
Exactly.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't reset it up. So it's like catch it when you can. I also thought this was interesting. I think oftentimes like stories and live are content that is like here right now and then gone in 5 seconds. To see that almost a 1/4% of people are interested in those, like that's kind of cool.
Mhm.
Because
I thought it would be more really with
yeah,
live. I
especially
thought
with
that would be more.
stories and uh okay, cool. All right, so let me move on. If there are any questions, again, feel free to just ask. Okay, so key components of effective video, right? We've been talking about how like it's got to be short, it's got to be fast. It says that the best and most versatile video length is 30 to 60 seconds. I would also say that sometimes like for the need of having to edit some things, um take a longer video than you need, and then you can edit it later. It's
Mhm.
always easier to like take something down from like a way longer amount of time than to like be like, oh, I caught it, and like you look back and you're like, I definitely didn't get it, you know. But if you had like let it extend a couple more seconds, you could have got something faster. So you need something that's gonna like grab people's attention like right away, especially if it's like a really quick like 30-second video. You have to hook them in right away with something like a big fact, a big picture that you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be cool. It has to be like education, like entertaining you, educating you, or both, right? Like that's where it will pique people's interest. um and so it's like you kind of have to have your hat on all the time about it. Um, and so also this is a big thing, is have a call to action. Like it's sweet to be able to have like, here's this dope picture of me, here's this really great thing I ate. Save that for your personal page. Okay. Like if you want to do this for your business, it's like, I need you to come in the door so that you can like pay me, right? So it's like, what am I gonna do to be able to get you in the door? And so like see what you can do to be able to keep getting people interested. And that can get really tiring. So again, like still go back to like, don't do it unless you don't have the energy for it. And I have a
Mhm.
friend who like, to me, he's like an influencer because he's got like over 10,000 followers or something on his personal page. And he's got like all these views and stuff. And he says, he's like, I'm not gonna sit there and make content and take time out of my day unless I have the energy and like positivity for it. Because it'll show.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, hashtags. We've
All
been talking
right.
about this, right?
Yes.
So hashtags, I think, especially on Twitter, this is a big deal, hashtags, because for instance, like social movements, like hashtag like BLM was a great way to like get people organized in and around like a lot of things. But hashtags related to your business is like a way to be able to brand what you're doing sometimes. And it's a way to be able to um, get people to, it's sort of like what you put in Google, right? If I Google Detroit, hashtag Detroit, will my stuff come up? Not sure. Maybe, maybe not. So like that's some of the things that you're doing. So like your brand, use your hashtag for your brand. Hashtag for like the community that you're in. Are you like, oh, hashtag farmers, hashtag, foodies, whatever it is. Niche, right? Like if there's a specific reason why you're doing your business. It's because like you see that the business that you have is not in existence in the world. Right. And so like what is it that you're doing that people sort of already know about that you can do a little bit better? Also your audience, like, right? Like hashtag Detroiters is an audience. Hashtag like women in their 30s is an audience. Like, put it in there if it needs to be. Product descriptives like hashtag, organic, all of that stuff. Detroit, that makes sense. Specific events, that makes sense, right? So like here's a really great graphic of like things that you should do like for your content. Like, and I will 100% tell you that like I have only recently been using hashtags in our posts and I see a better return. Like for my bot one page for Instagram, I reposted this video of someone like making a recipe, someone who like is like a prominent like person. And then it had like a couple of hashtags, which I had never really used before. And now there's like over 500 likes and like 7,000 views on that reel that I just reposted. I didn't do any work on it. Like I just found it, reposted it, put some other words on it, and now it's got all this engagement. So like I also then will I'll get to this, but like engagement doesn't also necessarily mean like dollars in the door. It also, but does mean more people who are liking the page and more people who maybe eventually will get into that. And all of that is just because of hashtags. So maybe, it's also related to hashtags is in understanding who your audience is, see who's following you and what are they into too. So do a mix of like something that's specifically you, things that are specifically well known. And then also, this is interesting that it says keep the number of hashtags between 3 to 5. I know that you can do up to 30 in a post, but so there's something there. Don't put anything unrelated to stuff. So like, why would I use like hashtag polar bears if I'm doing a picture of kale? Like it has nothing to do with it. Just make sure it's all related to the content that you're doing. Don't make it like overly generic or it's going to get lost. And or also, so some of the things that I like, one day we used a reel where we used Beyonce's Break My Soul. And then all of a sudden there were like 6,000 views on the reel. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so awesome. And it's like, no. Like over half of those were just like bots, like just trolling us. Also, it was like a really dope song. So like a lot of people were listening to it. So that's like another way that people are like connecting to you. So like bots are like not real people, but they are adding to your like engagement in different ways. And
So
then
talk about bots for 2 seconds. What?
oh sure, bots are not real people. They are completely generated things. They appear to be people. If you like click on their page, it seems like it's a person, but you see that they have never posted anything and they have no friends. They have no other followers. That is not a real person.
So what is it?
It's
Is it
like
scam or spam or like is it?
Yeah, it's like spam. Like there's maybe a person behind it, but they're not a real person. It's completely like made up. You can have bots like completely generated.
Why would one generate a bot?
To mess with stuff. to gain more, like there's different ways that bots can like generate money or create, like maliciously put in like viruses
mhm.
and things. But they're not real people, and they don't produce any content. They're just out there doing thing, like,
Mhm.
just trying to like stuff to become other followers, but they're not an actual person. So they just generate engagement, but not necessarily. You're on here because you want people to know about your business. Like somebody who's not a person is never gonna call you and say like, yes, T, I would like a kayak. Like a bot is not gonna call you, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
So like, right, like that one post that I have where like over 500 people liked it, I don't get hyped about it because I know that's not 500 people who are gonna come and order a box from me.
Mhm.
So one of the things I also would say is don't post things that have a content advisory because you could get blocked. So like something where it's like, what did it say? Uh, like things that are pretty like incendiary, right? Like hashtag, um, uh, like really bad stuff. Like, like hashtag, like um Nazi something. I don't know, something really, really bad. Things, just don't use them. If you're feeling like I'm not sure if I should use that or not, then don't. That's basically my rule of thumb in relating to content. Like if you think it's bad, then don't use it. Um, okay. So I think we talked about like how do we like keep it all straight? How can we organize this, right? So we at Keep Growing Detroit, we use a content calendar. This, and I have on the left-hand side are a bunch of templates that you can use to be able to plug this in. And so this literally says on this day, we're planning to do this particular topic. Who's going to write about it? What is the audience? How much dollars are we putting into it? Whether that be like for an ad or for any kind of thing. And so like on the right hand side, it's like what is the type? Not all of it is social media. Some of it is calls, some of it is postcards. Um, some of it is like, what do I post on our e-newsletter? So like it's a really great way to be able to organize yourself because you also know like in your business when things are going to ebb and flow for your business. Right, like right now T can't put, like, I mean maybe she can, I don't know, like put kayaks in the water if it's frozen, so there. And we also know that like it's the same with the growing season too. Like we know kind of when things are going to start to wane or when people are going to start getting excited about this. Right, a lot of you are on build crew. It's really difficult to be able to build an irrigation station right now. The ground is frozen. So like plan accordingly with your calendar. And then I use this content calendar as like a go-to guide, but I also know that I'm not gonna hit it it's not in stone. Like, let's say on Thursday, something else comes up that's more topical. I would rather post the thing that's more topical than what I had planned because the thing that's topical has a short window of like right now, as opposed to like some of these other things it it can it can be later. But so like I highly recommend setting up a content calendar so that you can organize yourself in doing that.
And just so you know, Danielle, you asked me to give you a time check, so it's 7:25.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. So analytics, like we've been talking about this I think analytics is really something that like when you have a Facebook business page or specific, a dedicated like professional page, you would have access to like all of this information. And this is only a snippet. Like this is all the data that we have been feeding Facebook and they are showing it to you. They then utilize this for, their ads as well. So like this is information that I utilize and understand for our page to see who's there. So something you can see like it'll tell you the exact number of followers, the exact number of like who are the age and gender of who are participating on Facebook and on Instagram, where do they live, who else is on there, and this is only like the tip of the iceberg of what they show you. They are also showing you the times in which people are interacting with your page, the frequency in which they're finding your page, the origin of how they're getting to your page. Like, are they typing it in to Keep Growing Detroit? Are they, is it coming up on their feed? All of that stuff and more are all in there. What's really helpful for this is like it will give you an understanding of who then are your customers, right? So, right, like I can see here that like 77% are women, 22% are men. They're around this specific age range. I will also tell you that like I have noticed the person who's creating the content and putting it out is often a reflection of who the audience is. Yeah, like after like 12 years of doing this is like something that interesting that I've found. And so like that might help you in trying to understand who you want as your customer and what you're seeing for your audience. This goes way deeper too, and it relates to how, if you decide to do an ad and the ways in which like you're targeting people, it will drill down to like, where do they live by zip code? Like, so when I'm putting in an ad, I can drill it down to like, I only want these 3 zip codes to see this ad. I only want people who are interested in going to Home Depot, people who are into veganism, people who are into, you know, monster truck rallies and watching Yo MTV Raps. Like I could, I can say that. Like it can go down to like, I only want it to go to people who have high school diplomas and are pet owners. Like that is the level of detail that they already have on us as users just by using this. And so like they then have this available to you because you hopefully can utilize that information towards creating an ad and also understanding your own audience. I highly recommend going on like this right here, how to use Facebook Insights and Analytics to boost your social media marketing strategy. That was like a really great source for you. It's a really great source for you to like check out and see how are people engaging with the work that you're doing and putting out there and working really hard to create content for. So all of these factors related to ads are based on like, where are they? What industry are you in? Who are the other people who are also in that industry? What is the time of year? Like kind of like what we were saying, like what's happening in the winter, what's happening in the summer is kind of different. Are there holidays coming up? The time of day is very important. Like T was saying, if I'm posting at 2 a.m., who's really going to see this? Where the audience is located and then where you are located can be completely different, especially in this time where like people can work remotely. There's some differences there in you can drill this specific down. Bidding strategy, I think this is really interesting, but it's like how much you tell Facebook to spend on your ad and then what is your specific goal of your ad are completely different too. The format, like, is it a video? Is it an image? Is it just text? Is it a bunch of pictures? That's what a carousel is. Like that makes a difference. What is the campaign objective? Like what is a specific intention of like that particular ad? And then like, what is the quality of the ad? And then how many people are engaging in it too? This source right here on the left hand side, how to advertise on Facebook, and then how much do Facebook ads cost, the benchmarks are really great to check out. So I really encourage you to see that there. So here's a very real world example. This is a snapshot of September for the online farm store. I have tracked this for like every single week. And my cadence is I'm always posting on Friday mornings at 10. So this is the week of right here. I have then boosted it. I have tracked like I'm gonna boost it for $30. And so I'm like, Facebook, spend $30 on this ad. Here's the specific audience that I want. It then tells me that we let the cycle happen. Here are the number of orders that we had, and here's how much money we ended up grossing. So the return on investment is real, right? Like but it's still at varying degrees because it's also related to your audience and the level of content that you have and what does it look like and how does it feel, right? Like, so what I have here is like the number of likes and the number of people reached. A more accurate is like how many people did I reach on Instagram and then how many people did I reach on Facebook. So that's varying degrees there, and then how much I spent on that. So like here's back-to-back weeks where like I spent $30, but then the like pricing is different. Like our return on investment is completely different on what we do. So like I wouldn't say yes, put in a whole bunch of money into Facebook and Instagram ads because like here's a clear example of like the return on investment is completely different. And then my notes here are completely different, are like also give you a better picture of like what's going on here. I also sent out specific emails. Then here's when like, holiday shares, which is a higher ticket item, is what related to the gross sale too. And then this was like, when did I share it publicly? Like was like we had a native plant market on this particular week. So like the numbers there look kind of different. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, let me keep going. So I would also tell you to like check out this not this Adspresso to give you like a breakdown and a calculator of like what it, if I put X amount in, this is how much I want back and all of that. So check that out too. So business versus personal. I think that we said this before, but like, so in 2020, Dolly Parton put out this meme about like, this is the picture that I use on LinkedIn. This is what I use on Facebook, Instagram versus Tinder, right? Like my golden rule for this is like, if I post something, what would my boss or my mom think about it? Are they gonna think it's cool or it's not? Because I can 100% tell you that either your potential boss or your current boss is already looking at what the stuff you're doing, and maybe your mom is too. And so personal and professional. So like consider it for your personal page and the things that you're doing, consider this as like, this is a great way to keep connections with your family, with your friends, and like build those relationships. And you can be personal with it. And so like that's sort of like what you're showing here in like Instagram and Facebook. Professional is like for your business, it is a multimedia resume. Oftentimes people are not gonna like take the time to read all of your website, but they'll scroll on what you're doing on your Instagram or your Facebook. So like, what does that mean? What does that look like? LinkedIn is super, super professional. Facebook is like pretty chill, but kind of like keeping it right. Instagram is like the space where you can like talk a little bit like about who you kind of are on the offshoot, and like here's some throwback Thursday pictures. Tinder is, what kind of game that's playing. So it's a different jam. So like understand, like, and do not look at all of them equally, right? That's sort of like the point of like business versus professional. I will say that like your professional page is a great place to promote your business, but your business is not a good place to promote who you are personally. They can be linked, but also like don't keep them all in the same thing. There are probably pieces of who you are personally that can touch on your business, but not everything. So keep that in mind. Okay. And you want more followers, right? Like, so think about what are your goals in doing that? What is your vision in doing that? And again, like in talking about like authenticity versus great content, right? Like I showed you the Unsplash thing, Unsplash. That's gorgeous content. They have videos, they have pictures, but versus your authenticity of who you really are as a business and who you are as a business owner is very different. So like people want to know who you are as a real person and your business as a real person. So like I'd rather you take a not so great photo and use that because that's real versus like I'm just going to use like stock images all the time. So that's a different there. And like again, how is it all relating to your goals? And peer review, right? Like if you are doing this, like talk to somebody who will give you some honest feedback. Ask your buddy, ask a friend who, or whoever, and just say like, hey, have you been checking out my page? Can you tell me, is there something that I could be doing better? Like, what do you think? Because talk to somebody who you think would be your ideal customer and ask them, what do you think I should be doing? You know, you do things in a vacuum, but like your content isn't going out in a vacuum. Like there are other people who are looking at it too. Look at your analytics, like take some time to understand that and shift how you're moving things accordingly. Collaborations are really great. This is like where you do like posts together. So like I can do a post on Instagram where it's Baon, and then if I collaborate, tag somebody, I can tag myself. It's now also going to show up on my page too at the same time. That's really great, especially if you're collaborating with somebody who has a higher follower base than your other one, than your business, or vice versa. Maybe it can work, but it's like the whole point of like tagging people using hashtags and doing collaborations is to amplify your message in different avenues. So like maybe somebody doesn't follow me as a follower, but they follow Baon, or vice versa. That's a way to be able to get more people in the door to understand who you are and what you're putting out there, using hashtags and then using paid ads. So like it's all a mix, and it's like a big recipe of how you're going to do these things. But um go back to your goals, go back to your vision, and see if it's still in line with one another, or maybe your goals and your vision have changed. So like kind of work with that there too.
Mhm. Before you go on, I think it was a couple of slides back, Diane was asking, I think it was about the, when you had listed out the farm, produce,
This
yeah, she was saying, is that just an Excel sheet or is that an app that you use for that or?
Oh yeah, that's just a straight up Excel sheet where like I kept track the specific dates. I went back into my analytics and I tracked it in there. How much did I spend? How many orders came in? This is just a straight up Excel spreadsheet, like nothing fancy. Yep. Anything else?
Cool. No, that's all I had in the chat unless there was someone who wanted to come off of mute or at all.
Okay, cool. Okay, this is something that I wanted to bring up because like as you are starting to this comes up in people's personal pages and in their business pages. I will say that like some of the best stuff related to this, if you utilize Twitter, is like if you want to be like, hey Delta, why is my like why are you having trash service, like hitting someone up through Twitter in is like a really great way to be able to talk to businesses in a direct way, or whoever. So like that's something. But like people in some comments, like I thought that this was a really interesting slide, and the source for this too is on the left hand side, 8 tips to handle negative Facebook comments. But like what does this say? It's like 65% of 18 to 29-year-olds have experienced online harassment. 28% of Americans admit to online trolling. That's kind of high.
That's high.
That's high.
That's a third of us.
A quarter of us are straight up saying, and that's like the people who admit, look at this. Americans are most likely to encounter trolls at least once a week on chat boards, 39% on social media and blogs. So like, and also, did you see this too? It's like 77% of Americans believe that anonymity fuels online trolling because they're behind the computer. You could do whatever, and so it's a real thing. And so here are some like kind of ways to be able to handle it. So like first, like right away, say to, especially if you're a business, say right away, like, I'm really, I hear you and I see what you're saying. I would really love for you and I to meet or can chat more about this in an offline space. And then at the same time, message them back, do a private message back to them. Do what you can to be able to like move the conversation out of the public eye, right? Like Something then I also learned is that you can hide comments. So then like you can still have like the person who's trolling can still converse back and forth, but to the rest of the public, they can't see that. Delete if there's like even more commentary that's happening that's like not adding to this, you can delete it. And you can also limit who can comment on things. Like you can, all of this is movable in the settings that you have on Facebook. If it's really creating a lot of chaos, like delete the post entirely and then explain why. Why did you delete it? You know? So content moderation is something like that I recently learned about, where like you go in deeper into the post and in the back end of stuff to say who can comment and who can content on like who can comment on the content. It does take a lot more work and I don't recommend it. It's like a whole other job to be able to do that. You can block that person. Like there's some people who just straight up want to hate for like no reason. It's like their jam. So you could just block them or also hire like a moderation service. I highly wouldn't do that unless like you're you know, like a really, really big business, because that takes a lot of time and effort. But like not responding is not ideal, but continuing the energy on it is also not ideal too. Like it's important to address what they had said, like but don't do what you can to be able to have more control over the conversation, especially if it's like hurting your business, right? Because people might say like, hey Danielle, like I got trash produce from you, and like they'll let you know. And but as long as you don't, if it looks worse if you don't address it, if you don't. I will say then, like the adverse is like when people are saying really great stuff about the stuff that you're doing, reply back to that too. Like that's also like adding to the level of engagement and the energy that your content has if you're replying back to. If they're like, hey Danielle, I really liked what you put in the box, replying back is like a really great way to tell them that it's not, this content isn't just being put out by like some machine. There is someone like behind it, you know? And then here's like a whole slew of resources that I got from Taste the Local Difference that I, especially since this is like food related type of things, here's some stuff to check out related to like wholesale readiness, do's and don'ts of wholesaling. And then right here at the very, very bottom, Jerry sent this out, but it's like selling your story in a business plan. It's coming up in February, so something to bookmark in the new year to check out, and that's something that I suggest to you to check out. But that's all I got. This is me. Any
That's a
questions?
great picture.
Oh, you know, short black farmer land fund. You know, it gives you a glow that you don't. Yeah, here's my information if you want to reach out. But yeah, that's all I had.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That was a lot of content, information, no trolling.
A lot of ads, a lot of, you know, algorithm things.
Yeah, it's so much to it. And it's actually like the world that we're in now. You have to kind of go there. I think a lot of us have been, you know, hesitant to jump too far in. I think if you're a business, you kind of have to be in that space. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for breaking it down and sharing your strategies with us. A lot of folks in the chat saying thank you. So thanks for coming, guys. And if there's any final questions, we can hang on for a hot second. But yeah, Danielle, that was great. Nice job.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, if there's no, so much to learn, says Cindy. I feel like we might need like a part 1 and part 2, like beginner.
Yeah, I went through like a lot. Yeah, I went through a lot.
All right, everyone, have a good evening, and Danielle, you have a good night and have fun in Vegas. Good
Thank you, everybody. Have a good holiday, and I really appreciate you taking the
Good night.
time. Good
night,
night.
chat. Peace, Darius. All right, that was great.